All right, so we're gonna start with debriding our patient. We're gonna make sure that she's got nice and clean skin so that we can get good contact for these electrodes. I have 1, 2, 3 spots. Down here, the most distal is going to be the grounded electrode. Input, red, is gonna be right here, right in that muscle belly, and then right here is gonna be output. So I put some marks on there just so I know that I'm scrubbing. Apply a little bit of force. You really want to get all the oil skin. If you're a really hairy person, Keisha is not, you want to make sure that you maybe shave the skin because you really want to get a nice, good, strong contact with the electrode to the body. There's 1. There's 2. We might get a 3rd. There we go. And here's 3. I'll take my electrode wires. Red is proximal. Snaps right on. I always like to say black is bad, and we want to keep bad things away from us, so that's just a little bit further away. And this is just our grounding wire. There she goes. She's all hooked up and we're ready to go. Keisha, so we are going to do 2 tests right now. We're going to do, the first test is you're going to squeeze for 2 seconds at 25% of your maximum force, rest, 50% for 2 seconds, rest, 75% for 2 seconds, rest, and then 100% for 2 seconds and rest. Try and get it to be as consistent of a squeeze as possible, just so we have a nice good plateau, and that should show up on the screen. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead, let me see, 25%. Good, rest. 50%. Rest, make sure you rest all the way. 75. Rest. And 100. Rest. Awesome. Great. So we can see, we auto scale out. Should see a nice stepwise pattern here for her force output and for her EMG that corresponds to this. And I'm gonna let it run a little bit before we get to the next step. All right, Keisha, for test number 2, you're going to squeeze with your dominant hand as strong and as long as possible. And we're gonna go until you hit the half of the peak force output you started with. You ready? Go for it. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Doing great. This could take 20 seconds, could take 2 minutes, who knows? And then we're gonna do the same on your non-dominant arm. Keep it up. Getting pretty shaky. Try to keep that rested. So we're waiting for her to get to this 10 mark, and she's just about there. Dancing right over the line, and she just dropped underneath it. Go ahead and stop. Good. Right, so I just wanted to point out a few things that, here we have a zoomed out version of everything we've done so far. You can see our 25, 50, 75%, 100. I left a gap in time, so I let the record happen so I can clearly figure out where her force went for the dominant arm for test 2, and we had right about 19. These cursors moved a little bit, but she went for about 29 seconds, which is pretty good for the dominant arm. And then at the end here, I left a bit of space, about 10 seconds recording, and now we're going to do the non-dominant arm fatigue resistance. All right, Keisha, so now we're going to do non-dominant arm fatigue resistance. Same as what we just did, squeezing as long and as hard as possible. We're going to go from maximum force output all the way to half maximum force output and see how long that takes you. Ready? I'm gonna go in 3, 2, 1, here we go. Good, squeeze, 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 you're doing great, keep it up. And let's just see how long you take. All right, so Keisha is getting pretty close to her line. She's laughing. She's got that little extra gas in her. She keeps going. She's doing great. Looking for her to drop to about 9, and I will let her know when she's there. Oh, I can't trace lines, apparently. All right, we're gonna say that's good. Good job, Keisha. And I'll hit stop. All right, I just wanted to do a quick video about the cursors here. So we have 2 red cursors, and you can see some of these markers too up here. We can even hit mark if we want to put a specific spot, and in the instructions it does recommend that. Down below we have our muscle force. You can see the whole 3 tests that we've done today, and this is even our calibration step. And you can see all of the corresponding EMG outputs for these. We can auto scale these with these buttons up here. We can zoom in, zoom out. Mark up here is going to be double display time. That's important for you guys to have with this. It really does take a bit of play time on these. Note that you can right click either of these graphs, and I'll be around, or Dr. Miller will be around to help you guys in lab for this. Up here in the top right corners, we have T2 and T1, and these 2 red cursors right here, wherever I drag these, that's where those are going to correspond. And same thing down here, V2 minus V1. Whichever red cursor is furthest to the left is going to be your V1, and whichever one is to the right is going to be V2.